All right. Hey everyone, welcome to another night of the Forsaken. Hopefully everyone is having a decent Monday. I know that I am. But yeah, welcome. We are, let me check everyone. So let me turn that up for y'all. Yeah, let's start off with the recap from last week. No, that's not where I want to put that. Oh, that's where that's going to have to go. Okay. Sorry, I'm just rearranging my desktop. All right. All right, so last week on The Forsaken, which was our 38th episode, our adventurers continued to move forwards towards the Aurelius Empire. This was after their battle with the Bugbears in the middle of the night that lasted for like an entire session. So last week they continued their journey after kind of finishing up their rest for the night. They eventually hit a split in their path, and they could either go left or they could go right. In my notes, I got that incorrect. They chose to go right. In my notes, I have they chose to go left. They chose to go right, and they ran into a bridge spanning about 50 feet over a raging river. The bridge looked fairly stable, so they began to cross to the other side. But as they did, it was clear that this was no ordinary bridge, or at least it wasn't under any ordinary circumstances. Voices began to whisper to Jurble, which drew him off of his horse and towards the edge of the bridge. Teagan moved back towards the center of the bridge to help Jurble, trying to save him. But when he did, the whispers began convincing him that the river was the only way out, that was his only means of escape. With a little teamwork, however, the rest of the group were able to snap them out of it and draw them to safety. So they continued on to the Aurelius Empire. They got the Empire in sight. They could see the city in the distance. It was a floating city, which they could see. But just as that was happening, and they were kind of like breathing a sigh of relief, kind of a change in the wind, as it were, happened, and all of a sudden they were in a different place. The Aurelius Empire it was like tilted for a couple of minutes, and then it went back to how it should be, or kind of. It was still a little like a building fell over, that they could see a building kind of fall over from the floating part of the city. They were hearing some screams from the city. They all kind of realized that they had new memories that kind of were rapidly replacing old ones, and the old ones were seeming very foggy. But Jurble was still sick, so they continued on into the city, continued on through the city gates. The guards let them in, but inside it was kind of a mess. There were, some buildings that had kind of gotten some stuff falling on them from the floating part of the city. There were people hurt in the streets, but people were tending to them and helping each other out. So they were able to find the healer in the town, the shaman, and took Jurble there. Everything seemed, the shaman took a look at Jurble, asked if they could kind of look at him for the rest of the day, possibly the next day too, but that they would send them back to the group in the evening for the night, for wherever they were staying. So the rest of the group exited out, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so actually, I will continue with Jurble for a bit. Let me get back to my notes instead of the recap. All right. Okay, so Jurble. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Frank and Joe, Pyxrin stayed with Jurble, correct?
I think she said yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that I was correct in that, because I didn't confirm that anywhere. That's what I remembered. Okay, so Jurble, the Shaman Criven who was recommended to the group by the healer back in Echo, Kalos. So Criven, well, I want to say Pyxrin kind of goes off and kind of sits, it's all kind of in one room. So Pyxrin's kind of sitting off to the side, maybe practicing her stone reading with the stones that Kalos gave her to read. So practicing that kind of in the corner. I think she was also looking at the stones that were in the baskets on the one wall, just a whole wall full of stones and herbs and different things that the shaman used for their business. So Shaman Criven, again, very very kind of slender build, wearing these kind of muted robes, white hair that kind of almost like a platinum blonde almost that goes to about mid back. And Shaman does a few procedures on you throughout the next few hours. I think it was like early afternoon when the rest of the group left, I think. Or maybe around 4. No, it was kind of in the evening. It was kind of like around 4 or 5, I think, if I remember correctly. So for the next like 4 hours, the shaman does a couple like different procedures on you using crystals and herbs. They had that table in the middle of the room. One procedure had you laying on the table, and they placed like quartz crystals like on your body. You were given some lavender to help you sleep. During this procedure, would you feel comfortable enough to sleep, or would you be staying awake? And you are feeling probably a little out of it, but I will say that this space is, even though it's unknown and it's a new city and you don't really know this shaman, and it's very very unrecognizable, I guess is the only word that's coming to mind to you. You do feel safe. It's a very kind of safe space, and you feel comforted being in this space and being in the presence of the shaman.
Yeah, I would say after all the craziness to getting here, he's ready to just kind of like,
yeah. Yeah, understandable.
And also, since Pyxrin's there, he knows Pyxrin will mess somebody up.
Yes.
If something happens.
Pyxrin is in the corner. She's, as I said, she's looking at the stones that she was given and the stones like they're in the room and the candles, but she's also keeps kind of glancing over at you. So you know that she's keeping an eye on you. When you do kind of fade off and kind of let yourself slip into sleep, your dreams are actually uncharacteristic to the dreams you've been having the past couple of days since this happened, are actually very comforting. You dream of the kind of what you would see in the Feywild during your time there. Fields of flowers of all different kinds, not just of sunflowers. But no matter, in these fields, you still see this kind of darkness on the edges of the field, kind of off in the distance. And that's surrounding you. I mean, not surrounding you per se, but surrounding this space. You feel fine in the area that you are, and you don't notice the darkness creeping any closer, but it is out there. And looking at it, if you like stop and actually stare into it or stare at it in the distance, it does make you feel a little uncomfortable. There's and also they do like healing rituals on you, sitting you like in a circle with candles and crystals. Shaman Criven kind of walks around like blessing you. And other things like, and the thing that you end with is that Criven will, I do need to open Discord because Melissa gave me some information. The last kind of ritual that you come to, And there are a few chants that you kind of hear in and out of sleep. There's a chant of by earth and air, by fire and water. And of course, that's when Discord opens over my notes. By earth and air, by fire and water, so shall you hear my call. Power of birth and rebirth, powers of silence and peace, heal this one's body and mind. There's also, let's see here. Also the chant or the kind of blessing or prayer of, and you kind of hear, as I said, you kind of slip in and out of consciousness, and you hear kind of Criven's voice in the background, in the backdrop, in and out of consciousness. And these are one of the prayers that you kind of pick up. I am now choosing to cleanse Jurble and release all the thought forms, beings, situations, and energies that are no longer of service to Jurble's highest and greatest good. Across all planes of his existence, across all universes, and across all lifetimes, I ask that all energies that are less than love be transmuted to the highest good of all, and so it is. And the last ritual that there's a pretty large window in this main room of his shop, or of their shop, and as I think I mentioned last week, there was a kind of a still pool on in the corner of the room. Candles were around it, as well as some baskets of crystals and other things, salts. And the shaman takes you over to this pool and kind of lays you down in it. It's pretty shallow. You're able to lay down in it, and it's still not. It's not threatening you of being fully submerged, especially with your stature. The shaman does
just sticking out of the tub.
Yeah, the shaman does put a rock under your head, but it is kind of concave to where your head kind of sits in it nicely. The shaman puts various crystals into the water with you, laying them in certain positions, not really on top of you, but around you, and then puts some hot stones in to kind of warm the water up as you lay there. So by the time that this is all done, the water is and the shaman will keep adding stones periodically. And you're probably in this pool for, probably an hour. And you can almost hear these kind of the jingling of chimes, although you don't remember seeing chimes in the room. So that's where you are. And while this is all happening, since I got some answers from Melissa, because unfortunately for those watching, of course, we have a few people out tonight for various reasons. Andrew has moved, but he was having some internet issues. So while you are in the pool, and of course, I'm going to say that you're probably so relaxed that you're probably drifting into unconsciousness, into sleep. And as that's happening, the shaman kind of walks over to Pyxrin and looks at her as Pyxrin is kind of, trying to read the rocks, and Pyxrin looks up at the shaman, and Shaman Criven says, "What are you running from?" Pyxrin kind of looks at her, slightly surprised, I'm sure, because of course she hasn't mentioned anything to the shaman. Y'all just met this Shaman Criven. And Pyxrin will divulge, very, not currently, very briefly, I guess, that she's trying to, her ex-fiancé is after her, and keeps it, again, very, very brief. not offering much information to the shaman, of course. The shaman looks at her and asks if she would be okay if they prayed over her, gave her a prayer of protection. And Pyxrin agrees. Before they do, though, the shaman kind of kneels down next to Pyxrin and looks at her again. I can sense that something has shifted. He's closer. Please be wary and be careful. And Pyxrin just kind of nods back at them. The shaman also offers to help her read some crystals after they're done blessing her. Yes, and so they'll sit there, and the shaman will kind of teach her a bit about reading the crystals to help her out, since Kalos, I think, told her that the shaman was the one that actually put the kit together and sent it over to him. And then while this is all going on, Jurble, you find yourself back in the field of flowers. Again, it's not just sunflowers, it's any flower you've ever seen in your life, and even some that you haven't. Colorful, just every color that you could imagine. Just completely surrounding you, almost as far as the eye can see, as far as ground goes, but then again, you have that kind of darkness in the distance still, and mountain ranges. The scenery kind of reminds you of being in the field of sunflowers, back near the statue. Mm-hmm. You still feel comfort, and you just find yourself just sitting there and enjoying it, but then you hear a clock ticking, very softly at first, slowly getting louder and louder. And in fact, the more that you kind of pick your ears to it and listen, the louder it seems, and also the more it seems to just be surrounding you, and almost like it's in your head. When you finally blink, Gorbin is standing in front of you, like inches from you, and he reaches out and starts choking you.
I'm gonna try to punch him, just swing, just try to grab his throat.
Okay, make a strength check.
Ooh. Natural 20. 21.
Wow. Okay, all right.
Want me to screenshot it?
No, you're fine. I believe
Okay.
you. Yeah, so I said Gorbin's directly in front of you and reaches out and puts his hands directly around your neck and doesn't say anything, just kind of growls under his breath, and it's just kind of pushing you to the ground as he's choking you. Jurble, in your instinctively, you just start. What did you say that you want to do?
I was just gonna just start swiping at his head.
Okay, yeah, you swipe once at his head and it actually lands, and he staggers to the side and stares at you, kind of starting to walk in a circle around you.
I will mimic him, do the whole
Okay, doing the
predator circling,
roundabout.
do the rest.
All right, cool. Um, he stops and smiles, and suddenly it seems like within an instant the darkness is no longer in the distance but is right behind him and going all around you. You feel hands reaching out behind you and holding you down, several of them on your arms, your legs, pulling you kind of back away from Gorbin. In this moment, so the shaman is helping Pyxrin with her rocks. They hear a sudden, water splashing. They both look over towards the pool that Jurble is lying in, and Jurble splashes for a few moments, like waving wailing his arms, and then he steals for a moment and then starts shaking, almost seizure-like. The shaman kind of had some rocks in their hand and immediately drops them and runs over, as does Pyxrin, I'm sure, grabbing a basket off of the wall as they go, immediately sitting out some rocks and taking Jurble, kind of resting their arm under their head, or under Jurble's head. Jurble, back to you. You are suddenly, you feel those hands on you, and they, as you're kind of struggling against them, you're watching Gorbin all at the same time. And suddenly Gorbin's gone, and you find yourself able to free from the hands that were holding you back. And as you kind of start looking around, the darkness is still right there on top of you almost. And there are these ghosts, like these spirits, that are completely surrounding you. Not just one line of them surrounding you, but it goes back several rows. It's just a mass of them surrounding you in all directions. You see, kind of against what now is kind of a dark blue sky, you see these darker figures that are kind of standing in the back of the spirits, but you can't tell what those black figures look like, or what these dark figures look like. There's just as you kind of frantically look around, you notice 5 of them, and kind of evenly spaced out behind these spirits that are now surrounding you. The one spirit steps forward, seemingly male, not really nondescript, kind of brown hair, plain clothes with a robe. Are you the one that will help us? Will you listen?
I suppose I could listen.
Do you understand? And as they're speaking, I wish I had a voice thing, but as they're speaking, the voice, it's not just a single voice, but it sounds like 20 other voices speaking at the same time. Do you understand the oppression we have suffered? This land needs action.
understand a little of the oppression that you have all been through, but that is the action you are bringing. It's not. It's not what the world needs. And as he said that, I'm just gonna like come back, backing up, just like making sure I am like that they're not like getting like creeping up behind me and stuff.
Well, the circle is completely surrounding you, but as you back up, like they seem to like the circle seems to kind of move with you.
No.
So even backing up, you still have the same space, that even space all around between you and the spirits. And even the one that stepped closer to you, that is now possibly like 5 feet from you, even stepping back, like it's almost like they were moving with you. How else will they listen? How else are we going to make ourselves heard? How else are we going to have change?
I don't have those answers, but I do know they can't listen if they're dead, or if they hate you, or if they're scared of you. They're never going to properly listen.
You want someone dead. And without even seeming like it's moving, suddenly the spirit is like its face is right beside yours, Jurble, and its mouth is right beside your ear. We can help.
Just like you're helping him, I guess.
You are better.
Or am I wrong?
You are stronger. He operates under his own wants and needs. We know that he's using us. You can help us. He will not. The spirit has went back to where it was about 5 feet from you. Think about it. We'll commune again. And suddenly you're waking up in the water. The shaman has their arm around you, or around like the back of your neck, kind of getting you up, your head out of the water since you were thrashing. And kind of sits, helps you sit up, and you can tell the shaman is clearly, trying to. It's almost like the shaman seems like that they're almost like reacting the way that you feel, that they're feeling some of what you're feeling. The shaman, as after they help you sit up, kind of turns and just leans, it's because they're on the, he's sitting on the floor beside the pool, kind of, puts his, leans his head into his hand, and almost, you can see almost the shaman shivering a bit, but then they kind of try, gain their composure. Pyxrin, of course, I'm sure is, Jurble, are you okay? Are you all right?
I think so. So I'll tell you about it later. Just bad dream.
Okay, all right. She will turn to the shaman. Wasn't there anything you could do? Anything you could help him with? I, I, I'm sorry. Shaman will kind of help you out of the pool and give you a towel, kind of dry off. And Shaman will start to slowly kind of pick up the crystals and blow out a few candles, and you can tell through the window that it is evening. It's almost evening. The sun is definitely setting on the city. And Shaman kind of finally kind of sits the basket down and looks over at you, Jurble. I'm not sure that there's anything I can do. And then we'll go to the other people. All right. So the rest of y'all are, we're kind of, going back in the day a bit. We're kind of going back in time, not literally, but figuratively. So y'all had just stepped out of the healer's place. I think you were on your way to the inn, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it is around probably about 4:30 or 5, I think.
I honestly forget why we left.
Why you left the healer's place?
Yeah.
Well, the healer, you did try to ask the healer about the glass bottle that you found on the with the fungus in it, the cloudy fungus, and Criven recommended you to Gavin's apothecary, which is a few streets down, and gave you, I think,
Gavin!
directions. Yeah, Gavin.
Gavin!
Yeah.
And
So
Teagan had that file, right?
yes, correct. Correctamundo. As stepping out into the city, things are still, it's definitely you hear voices in the streets. There's still hubbub from what had happened just, an hour ago. Probably about a couple of hours ago. So I think it took you about 45 minutes to an hour to get to the city from where it happened. So a couple of hours ago. So there's still hubbub in the streets. Still a couple people that are hurt. You're kind of around the area where the larger piece fell from the floating portion of the city. But it's a few streets away from you. So there's definitely a lot of commotion around that area. Some guards. All of the guards are wearing a symbol on their chest that is kind of like a half circle, at the top of a half circle, with 4 lines going from the top of the half circle to the top of the armor. So 4 lines kind of extending up from the half circle.
Is that one of the things we saw in Bairn in the council, the flags?
Is it?
Oh.
Make an intelligence check to see if you remember.
Sorry.
Can I roll as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Here goes nothing. Literally.
21.
Okay.
What was yours, Teagan?
5 plus 0.
Okay. Yes, Ranerius, you kind of see these guards come pass by you, and you recognize that symbol is one of the symbols from the Council of Bairn.
I will point that out to Teagan. I'll just say, we should maybe be careful here. I recognize that symbol.
Yeah, they were part of the I don't know if you would call them an alliance or whatever of these.
Do you think someone from here was in the council room when we were all in there asking questions?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember if there was somebody underneath each flag or not. I can't recall exactly. Oh, we should be, cautious. Also, there'll be, yeah. Let's not ask too many questions about Baron while we're here.
Agreed.
All right, sorry, I'm just trying to fix because your name tags were all messed up.
Oh.
Here, I'll move over.
Left, Teagan. There we are. Okay, that should fix it. Oh, that's all messed up now. Yeah, so cat sticking its paw under the door. Yeah, so where are y'all off to? Are y'all going directly towards, are you going to the inn? Are you going towards Gavin's apothecary? I think that Criven gave you directions for that.
I think we were heading to Gavin.
Yeah, to check in with Gavin.
Okay.
Because, Criven had asked us to take that vial to Criven because he was quite concerned about it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. No more multitasking. Okay. So, yeah, y'all follow Criven's directions as best of your knowledge, and after walking a few streets over, you see the sign on a building that is that isn't damaged by any debris or anything. And it has a hanging sign on it that says Gavin's Apothecary. Go inside?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So y'all head in. And stepping inside is like entering another world. Whereas like going inside because I think I mentioned last week, I forgot to kind of give you a little setting for this, when starting this week. Even through the rubble, and I mean, and it's not complete rubble outside. It's just where from some pieces from the top portion had fallen down and kind of crashed into some buildings, and you have a little bit of rubble that kind of fell down from the top layer of the city, from the floating portion of the city. It's still a very fairly clean city, but also just very grand. Like even on this lower level, and even in coming from the gates to where you are, or to where you were at the healers, there's a lot of stonework, a lot of carved stonework. You'll see sculptures with like gems in them because again, that's their main kind of main thing here is mining and gem work. Kalos told you that. My cat keeps like opening my door trying to get inside. If you hear a door opening and closing, that's what that is. And so so it's a very nice city. It doesn't have that kind of it doesn't have that gilded extravagance that Relesque did. But it's almost kind of like the extravagance of, say, like Greek architecture, cathedral-like. And I mean, it's a mix of housing and it's a mix of buildings, but you still have that kind of grand architecture look to it. So yeah, it's a nice shop. As you walk up to it and into it, it's like entering into a different world. It's kind of a mess. The shelves are all kind of full, like just chock full of like, flasks and glass bottles. You have some empty ones. You have some ones that are filled that have little labels on them. You have various things to make, to make potions and to make, healer stuff. Stuff for healing kits. And it's all like kind of an ordered chaos inside. But not that much lighting, so it's kind of dark, a little dusty even. And you see this wooden desk of sorts sitting in the back, where you see little green ears poking up from atop the desk, atop the counter.
Hello.
And as you come in, a little bell rings.
As often does.
Hi.
Yes.
And the head kind of pokes up, and it's a goblin. It's a male goblin. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Ed kind of comes around. Of course, the height is very short, especially compared to humans. Hi there. How can I help you? I'm Gavin. Welcome to Gavin's Apothecary. I believe you're visitors. I don't recognize you. So welcome. What can I help you with?
Hello, Gavin.
Hi.
Yes, we are outsiders. Very observant of you. Very astute. We were sent here by Criven, the
Yeah.
shaman.
Mm-hmm.
On our travels.
Oh, right. You're the people that Criven's sending over. Because
okay.
Criven told you he was gonna let Gavin know that he was sending you over.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Good.
So do you have the vial?
Yes.
I can take a look at it.
Be careful, and I real carefully.
As you're getting it out, he kind of like wobbles over to the door, and there's a little step stool that he like pushes over in front of the door and like switches the sign to closed. And he gets down and pushes the stool back, comes back over to you and takes the vial from your hand. I'm sure you're extending it out.
Sure, yes.
Takes the vial from your hand. Thank you. Let me go get my glasses. So kind of goes over there, gets his glasses on. Oh. Interesting. Where did you say you got this?
On our way here, we have a friend who needed some assistance from the shaman. We were accosted by some bugbears, and they had this vial on them.
Interesting. Did you notice the shape of the vial is even interesting? Did you notice the notches? And he kind of wobbles over, walks over to you. Huh. See? There's a couple of notches right there. And it's just a weird shape for a vial. And now that you look at it, Teagan, like it is kind of like, it's not exactly like a smooth glass roundness that you're used to vials of that type looking like. Like, say, like the vials that has Jurble's medicine in it. It's kind of larger at the top and then kind of tapers off towards the bottom. It's still smooth glass, but you do see there's like a couple of notches in it. And it's definitely shaped in a weird way towards the bottom of the vial. Almost like there's another part to it, Like it sat in something. You don't know what. Was this all that there was?
Interesting. Not sure. Yeah, I mean, we found that. Trying to think if we found anything. I mean, we found some other stuff, but most of it was not. Seemed to be related to this.
Let me.
I'm trying to remember.
Let me see. I'm not sure that
I can pull it up.
wrote down everything in my notes. I'm going to pull up Facebook Messenger and see what I told y'all.
There was a lot of
Yeah, there was a lot of
little
stuff.
random
There's a lot of
things.
stuff. Yes. Oh god, all of Andrew's messages.
Just search the word onyx, because I feel like that's something that can narrow it down. Because I know there was onyx statues.
There were onyx statues, yes.
Okay, I got it.
Okay,
you want me to
cool.
screenshot it and
just
Discord message you? Yeah. Okay.
or if you want to, I guess maybe repost it in the message, like in the Facebook Messenger, so Frank and Ranerius can see it too.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Y'all watching are gonna hear a Facebook message sound here in a second.
Okay. I can do this. I can do this. It's my moment to shine. Okay.
Oh, poor Andrew.
Oh dear.
Did it send?
Yes, it did.
Okay. 2 skulls.
Yep. Okay. All right. Yep. That's all I need to know.
All I know is Jurble only took 3 things. So
Would it be the smallish porcelain vase?
Yeah, well, Teagan will mention there was a I guess for ease of use, we all have. I have it on me. That I'll show her the him or that
Him.
the small porcelain vase.
Ah.
This was tied to one of their belts. No?
I don't think so. I don't think that's it.
Okay.
It almost looks like it, like, I don't know, that it was. Yeah.
I'll start pulling the stuff out and like handing it to Ranerius.
I did take one of the onyx statues of Frugic.
Okay. You show that to
Yes.
Gavin? Nope, not it. Yes, I don't think so. It doesn't.
How about this glass prism?
Did you find any weapons?
Oh yeah, we found weapons.
Did y'all take
7?
the weapons though?
I think we
did.
did.
Jurble took a rapier. Jurble took a rapier, and I think Ren took the short bow and arrows.
So y'all stuck the rest of the weapons and the armor into your bag.
I think we said we were going to throw everything else in the bag of holding.
We cherry picked to like what we all wanted,
Okay.
and then Ren took the bag of holding and everything else.
Okay.
Went in the bag of holding.
I figured he was taking the rest of the items. I didn't figure that he was taking the rest of the stuff, but we'll say that. Yeah, I guess Ren will be with you. What are you looking for? We got daggers. He starts like just kind of like throwing stuff out of his bag of holding. Wait. And he grabs one of the daggers and starts kind of inspecting it. Y'all make perception checks, the two of you. A bear that's possibly like what I'm thinking of when I'm doing the voice.
I got a 9.
Not 20.
You said you got
25.
You said you got a 9, Ranerius?
Yes.
Okay. So funny. Okay, so as he's holding the dagger up, Teagan, you kind of notice that, well, you do notice, not kind of, you notice that the dagger, there's like a little piece that if you're just glancing at it, like you wouldn't notice. But there's this little kind of almost like a container or like a little notch, notch, not the word, a hole, I guess, in like the hilt of the dagger. And as
check.
Gavin's holding this, he takes the vial and kind of sticks it in there. And it fits in there perfectly. Let me. I don't want to do this, but this dagger. There's a button. See, and he kind of he takes the vial out first and shows you, and he clicks this little like button that blends in so well with the dagger. Like whoever made this is like a genius. Clicks this little, like pushes down this one little part of the dagger that Teagan, you would notice. You can see like a little lines where you can see that it's something that like doesn't like it's not smoothed out like the rest of the dagger. So you're kind of like, why didn't I see that before when I was looking at these things? He clicks it, and you hear something click inside the dagger. That's not too loud, but you hear something click, and see it breaks the vial. So they stab. He's like, and he kind of like realizes he's like stabbing like towards you. They stab, and then he kind of hands the dagger back, and then push the button, and it breaks the vial.
Okay, so this is how they distribute the poison when they stab someone.
Well, this isn't quite any poison I've seen, but let me
be careful.
Let me I'll be right back. Look around, don't go anywhere, but I'll be, you don't have to worry about people coming in. I put anyways. And right. He goes over to his desk and pulls a lever, and like almost like y'all are just kind of standing like inches from it. The floor kind of like springs up. I'm just going to take this downstairs to a little lab and test it a bit. Is that okay? I'll be back in like give me 5 minutes. So okay. He'll get downstairs and kind of just gonna close the door in case anything goes wrong. And then closes, like pulls another lever, and the door closes. And you hear him kind of like, you hear things like through the wood clanking, and it's almost like listening through a door. You hear things clanking, and you hear like, oh, and so you hear him working for like 5 minutes, and you're free to like look around the store, whatever. But
I hope.
Sure.
I hope we'll see him again.
Yeah, we should probably give him a good 5, maybe 10 minutes, and check on him after that, just in case. That stuff doesn't sound like it's nice to deal with.
I do want to look around and just see what's all up in her.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you see various potions. You see various, I said like, stuff for healers kits, stuff, to make like alchemist stuff. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for?
Ask me again in a few minutes.
Okay.
I don't know if he would put this out on display or keep it behind the counter, but I think it would be looking to pick up like 3 healing potions.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You head over to the potions, the ones that are labeled, and they're kind of in like neat little lines. But yeah, you find a couple of just regular healing potions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. Find my stuff. Well. I must keep passing it up here. I'm trying to pull up my shop list. It's going to be just easier for me to open up the book. foiled again.
Pieces.
Womp womp.
Yeah. Womp, 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 womp. Ah, here it is. Okay. All right. So. Yeah. Yeah, so just regular healing potions, and of course that's 100 gold from you,
Okay.
Teagan. Yeah, but there's all kinds of like, empty bottles. And so there's other bottles in there that are labeled with other potions. Like potion of water breathing, potion, there's a whole section of different poisons. Potion of growth, potion, pretty much a lot of potions that you've seen elsewhere. There's also like oil of slipperiness. There's some oils and vials there. Yeah.
You know what? That sounds interesting. I think if Teagan sees that oil of slipperiness, he'll probably pick up one of those, put that in his basket as well.
Okay.
His shopping basket.
Yeah. Yeah, oil of slipperiness. That is, let's see here.
Unless, of course, he turns the price tag around and, woo, 2,000 gold. No, I don't think so.
No, it's only,
Only 100.
it's only, 1 gold for that.
Okay. Done.
Yeah. Thought of anything yet, Ranerius?
Nah,
Still
nothing.
looking? Okay, nope, nothing for you.
Nothing
Nothing?
for me.
Nothing.
Yeah. I should have looked some like different potions to like have here. Of course you see like holy water, blah blah blah. Make a perception check, both of you.
Okay.
We hear.
Perception. 14 plus 5, 19.
Okay.
3.
3, great. Okay, so Teagan, you also see some other interesting potions that you've never really seen before. You see a potion called Potion of Probability, Potion of Dreaming. You see, let's see, jars of Fey honey, and let's see, essence of toad, as well as this weird shaped bottle that's in this basket called Angel's Ether.
It's drugs.
So if any of those sound interesting, let me know. There are no there are no like stuff on here, so even you can ask Gavin about them if you want to. Yeah.
After these drugs.
I mean, there is some sketch stuff in here. So there's a whole like area of like poisons, but there's also a little sign next to the poisons. It's like, this is just for fun. Like, these aren't filled with real, with real poisons. You can't buy these. But it's also an asterisk, so you're not sure if like that's like trying just to stay out of trouble, or if they're actually just trying to be funny, like, I have a whole section of poisons. So after a few minutes of y'all looking around, you hear glass break.
Oh.
And you hear some coughing. Woo-hee! Oh, man. Wow.
Everything okay? Tegan will yell out so he could yell loud enough so hopefully he could hear it.
Mm-hmm. You hear nothing for a minute. You hear nothing for 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna go look for the lever.
And then as soon as you go to look for the lever, the door pops open.
Okay.
Okay, wow. So he kind of comes out and goes over to you. Thanks, and pulls it since you were like standing right there.
Right.
All right, so that was interesting. Bad news is the bottle broke. He'll give you back like half of the bottle that's like sharded up. You know, the bottom half of it is broken. The good news is, well, there's a couple, and a couple of interesting things. The fungus was just a ruse. It was just magic. Some kind of, I don't know. It was meant to look like fungus, but once I opened it up, and maybe it was part of the fungus because, well, once the bottle broke, this gaseous form came out and went inside me. It went through my ear, but it's fine because the bastards, little do they know that I have trained myself to where no poisons affect me. So I'm A-okay.
Are you sure? Do you want us to take us? Maybe you should go over and see.
Make me a fresh
Criven.
Well, no, don't make me a perception check. Never mind. Y'all both feel your pendants are definitely a little warm.
Okay.
But I'm fine. So whatever it was just made to look like fungus. I don't know, but it was actually like a gas. And you know, they thought they could get me, but they can't. So I think here's how it goes is that they put the vial in the dagger. They stab, and it's more impressive when I have a dagger in my hand. But stab, and then they push the button, and after they've stabbed, they release whatever it is to kind of go inside the person. You know, like to poison him, I guess. But it's not a poison I've seen. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of poisons, but I've seen some. So, yeah.
Are you sure you're going to be okay? Should we come back in a little while to check on you? I mean,
Oh, I'll be fine. As I said, this stuff doesn't hurt me. One thing that was really interesting though, is that anyways, I have ways of detecting like origins of poisons, a little arcane ability I have, and this, whatever this is, didn't come from here. Like, it didn't come from this plane. Must have came from another one? I don't know. I mean, I've never been to another plane of existence, but, it's not from here, so those be how life goes sometimes. You know.
Would you? I mean, there was no like. It was all gaseous. It wasn't any liquid in there. It was all gas.
No, it was all gas. It all just kind of, you know, kind of like came out. I was like, "Whoa, hello," and then it was like, but I'm fine. I feel as right as rain.
Okay.
Could you make me a promise? Could you go see Criven if you're feeling off in any fashion? We have Jurble with Criven right now, and I suppose he's doing all right. But I'm really suspicious of what we found in that vial.
Okay, well, yeah, me and Criven are buds, so if anything seems off at all, I'll let him know. I'll let them know, and we can, he can take a look-see. You know, I don't buy into,
the crystals that much, but seems a little hokey pokey for me. But
Oh, my voice is hurting.
That's
But
okay. You can
I
bail on
think
that.
I think it's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna be okay. But yeah, I promise. Hand on my heart. Well, it's kind of down here. Hand on my heart that that I will let Criven know if anything weird happens.
Yes, please, because it severely affected our companion. So our
Oh.
concern, yeah. So it is, yeah, nothing to be trifled with.
Wait, did he have what Robert had?
Robert?
Robert, yeah, the guy.
Yes, I think that's the name Criven mentioned. That is the other person that he mentioned that had a similar ailment.
Yeah, that's the yeah. He didn't stay very long, but
Yeah, he said it was rather suspicious.
when Robert came through, good old Robert, I went over and I checked him out because Criven asked me to, because poisons are my thing. I mean, not my thing, but I know something about him, and and so I went over and took a look at it, and it was really weird. Kind of.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't see what it looked like. I didn't, he didn't have a vial for me, so I don't know if it's related. But another kind of, when I was looking at it and like the symptoms, I was like, this is kind of like nothing I've seen before. So
Exactly.
yeah.
If you have any arcane abilities, you might want to check in with them, because that also seemed to be what affected our friend. Is he had some arcane abilities and they were muted after being exposed to this poison.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I will. I mean, mine's more like a sensing kind of thing, but yeah, I'll take a look. See, I'll test a few things out.
Okay, but be cautious. I mean, this isn't to be trifled with.
Oh, sure, yeah. Definitely appreciate your concern, strangers. But
Anything we could report? Did you learn anything more than what you found out from Robert? I mean, can we report back to, or will you report back to Criven if you find anything else about this?
yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else to find out unless, I die. I mean, there's plenty to find out.
No, I don't want to find out that way.
But, I mean, other than that, I mean, the gas went inside me. I mean, other than cutting me open, I mean, if my poop looks weird later, I'll let him know. But, if there's cloudiness in my pee, maybe.
I would be on the lookout for such things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, you know what? While you were down there, I did some shopping, and then.
Oh.
Okay, and I'll go to the 3 healing potions. What is this? I'll mention some of the stuff you other mentioned. This potion of probability. What does that do?
Oh, yeah. This, and he'll kind of walk over to where you found it on the shelf. Yeah, this one right here is a bit of a wild card. It's kind of something the kids like to get, because you don't know. Have you ever, I know that they offer them at the candy shop here, but there's a box of jelly beans that, like, you eat them and some of them taste really bad and some of them taste really good.
I've heard of such things.
So this potion, kind of a wild card. It could either heal or harm you, when you take it. So, it's kind of like a fun thing the kids try, to try and see, oh, well, I can take this many hit points, not hit points. I can take this, I can get hurt this much. It's fine.
I would be careful. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Some people get braggadocious and want to say, "Oh yeah, can't hurt me," kind of thing.
The young ones, they just love,
foolish.
Or sometimes, some of the older, some people that frequent the bar will buy a whole lot of them and put them in drinks and just kind of do like a roulette sort of thing. So, it has its uses, and you'll notice that, like, when he's holding up the bottle, at the bottom of it is like an actual, like, 6-sided die that's kind of floating at the bottom of it.
Okay, good to know. Six outcomes. Okay.
That sounds like a terrible activity.
Well, some people like living on the edge. Some people, make poisons. Not myself, of course, but some people make poisons. Other people consume poisons. Some people, basically alcohol's poisoning you, but, but I get it. Some people, that's not their thing, and that's fine. Anything else interest you? Looking around.
Yeah, this angel's ether. What is that? That seemed curious to me.
The angel's ether. Stephanie pulls it up. Just give me
I
1
want to
second.
get higher than Ben.
Just give me 1 second.
Take angel ether.
Well, it's not that hard to get higher than Baron anymore.
Oh,
Oh, man.
Oh.
it takes you high, but the crash is hard.
Where did I see that? Oh, you also saw a potion of vampirism.
Ooh,
What does that do?
I guess makes you a vampire. for
You
a
know,
little
I
bit.
don't do poisons, but here's
I got a lot of stuff that can mess you up.
But let me show you all these poisons.
Oh my gosh, give me 1 second. It's completely disappearing on my page. It was
No, it's
right.
poison. It might help you, it might harm you, but it's not poison.
All the kids are doing it. It's fine.
Oh my goodness. All right. Seriously. Where did it go? It was literally right here. Oh man. Okay, let me just go through this one more time here.
Anyways, I came out banging.
Oh no.
Pulls out 2 crossbows.
Okay, let me just do this. What was the name of that again, Frank?
Angel's ether.
Let me just try searching for it here because it's disappeared from my stuff.
Searching D&D Beyond. Poison.
I need some poison. Crap. I might have lost it, Frank.
That's all right. Don't worry. If you find it,
I might have lost it.
Yeah, you gotta be quick. They fly away right off the shelves. That's why they're called angels.
Yeah, it just
They
flew
You gotta be quick.
right off of there. Was there another one that you thought looked interesting while I continue to look?
nah.
How about that one that says definitely not a poison?
Oh, are you asking him about the definitely not? Oh, I found it. Angel's ether. Goodness. Oh yeah. So he holds up the bottle, and the bottle's kind of in the shape of like almost like a teardrop with like the cork, and then like the bottom of the bottle being like the end. And the liquid inside of it is this kind of golden swirl of iridescence. Yeah, this right here, made by alchemists here in the city. You throw it, and the ether inside, it creates like a burst of flame for a few seconds, and kind of catches things on fire if you need it to. But yeah, so it creates fire.
You know what? That might be actually of some use. So, yeah, I'll take it off your hands. How much?
Nice. That's going to be,
Well, are you ready for this?
Maybe I won't take it.
Let's see here. It is just kind of like a bomb.
yeah, that's 75 gold pieces.
Oh.
It is a special item.
Yeah. From the description, yeah, I could tell. You know what? I think I'll take a pass on that.
All right.
But I know it's here in case I suddenly get flushed with
it's
with
here.
gold.
Absolutely. We got all kinds of stuff, including, we have all kinds of things. So just the 2 poisons for you and the oil?
3 potions of healing.
3 potions of healing. So that's 150 gold.
Right.
I thought you said 2 earlier. I'm sorry.
Okay.
3 potions, 150 gold, and
Oh,
then
okay.
your oil was, I think, is 1 gold.
1?
Mhm.
Yeah. The oil
So
slippery.
151 total.
Okay.
And add that
All
to your
right.
inventory.
Oh yeah, I will.
Okay.
Is there anything else I can help you guys with?
No, but I do want you to follow up with.
Oh, I
Crib.
will. I'll check in with my friend.
And you know what? I think we'll maybe make a stop and check on you tomorrow if we're
Okay.
still here.
Can I make an insight check? I just want to see if he's like deteriorating in front of our eyes.
Sure. I mean, you can make a perception check.
Perception, insight, whatever.
Gavin's dead in the back room. This is something else.
Gavin's in that little. He's still dead.
I got a 5 on perception.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he looks like Gavin. I mean, you've only seen this little goblin
This is our first
for a
encounter.
bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, it seems like, I mean, again, the lighting is very low in here. The lighting's not very good. To kind of hide the dust that's settled around things. But he seems fine.
All right.
But again, your pendants are still hot. And the closer you get to him, the hotter that it feels, I will say.
Well, anything else?
I think we should maybe be getting back to Jurble. Maybe he's done.
Would you like to see our friend to see how he's been affected? Maybe you can get some insight from it.
Oh. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, we can go over, sure. I mean, are they done?
He didn't seem like. I'll turn to Ranerius. He didn't seem like it would take long.
I will let you know that Crevin did say that he would send him back out to y'all in the evening.
Okay.
It's been maybe about 45 minutes, so not quite evening yet. You can still go.
Yeah, let's go. I Teagan will suggest maybe we should, and to Gavin that maybe we should go back and just for your knowledge. I mean, I think since you've been, treated and have, and Teagan will use the air quotes immunity to poison.
Okay.
Just to see the
Sure.
effects
Yeah,
for
we
yourself.
we can do that. Absolutely.
So yeah. So he'll
All right, let's head on out.
he'll kind of like fix a couple of things on his desk and put this little satchel over his head and
All right, let's go.
head on out
All right.
and lock the door behind you. Y'all start kind of stepping out into the street and kind of go around the corner, back, kind of retracing your steps. Ranerius, as you take a few steps out into the street, suddenly you feel your stomach drop, and almost in like a blink, you don't see your friends in front of you anymore. In fact, you look around and all you see is smoke. You don't see any. I mean, you see the buildings. It looks like the town. There's like maybe less smoke and more like a heavy fog. No people. Whereas when you walked out a few minutes ago, there were people passing by. You still heard these sounds of the city, the people like in the distance and the guards. You step out now, you're looking at it now suddenly, and there's no one on the street. It's just this heavy fog.
Teagan.
Yes.
No,
do I hear him?
no.
Don't hear him? Okay.
Don't hear him.
Ren.
You blink again, Ranerius, and you're back. Everything's normal again. You see Teagan and them kind of like stopped, and they're kind of like walking ahead of you a bit now. And
That was weird.
all right, and with that, we'll take our bio break since it is 11:30. So for those watching, we take an 8 to 10 minute bio break. So stay tuned. Go and grab some water or go to the bathroom, as we will be doing, and we'll see you in a bit. All right. As soon as I get the be right back screen up. Multitasking, it's fun. All right, mocks are hot.
How can we not expose Jurble to wonder that is Gavin? Wow. D&D Beyond had that. Oil of slippery. Yeah. Wow.
No, I am. Why? No, I'm gonna try to get it done tomorrow. I was afraid you were gonna be like, I just told Kevin 3 hours, but it's actually 6. And I was gonna be like,
I got one more chapter, chapter 5 to go. Hmm. Oh yeah, for the last half, yeah. Wow, actually, that oil of slipperiness is nice. Not what I thought.
wait, what? Ranerius, you did it again.
What? All right, we're back. Welcome back, players. Thank you for hanging out, viewers. All right, so yeah, we had just gotten done with Ranerius. Had just had his little kind of vision thing. I mean, I want to say that Teagan and the rest of you, I mean, it was very quick. So I'm, since you were walking, I'm going to say that you probably just didn't look back and notice that he was had stopped and yeah. So Ranerius, do you catch up with them?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. So as y'all are making your way back to the healer's place, suddenly you hear a few screams. And before you even realize what's happening, you hear this kind of like whoosh, and this piece of metal kind of crashes into this shop. Just, 30 feet from you. It's on the same
into
street.
Gavin's?
No, not to Gavin's. It's into another shop. I mean, because y'all had to travel a few streets to get here. So it's just another shop that's about 30 feet in front of you that you're walking towards. And the piece of metal that falls from the floating part of the city just crashes down right into this shop. And you can see a piece of it kind of sticking off the top. A few screams from people who are standing by. You see a few people who are, you see a couple who had just exited the shop, and you can see a sign that says woodworkers, or that hints that it's a woodworker shop. And a couple just exited the shop, and one of them kind of pushed the other like to safety out of the way. They're both fine, but they're both just kind of sitting there, like standing there on the street, just kind of like looking and shaking.
And how close are we?
About 30 feet. So fairly close. You hear a couple of yells from inside the shop. It sounds like a man.
I want to approach the people that just came out. Are there people still inside? Is everyone okay?
They both kind of look at you. I don't know. And you hear the same man who was yelling for help inside. My wife, she's upstairs. Help.
All right. I'll look to,
how big is this piece of metal?
Are
we talking like tons? Size of a car?
It's kind of like it's more kind of flattened out metal. So it's kind of just like sliced into this shop. You see it sticking from the top, and it doesn't look like that it's went down to like the first floor. But it is a 2-story shop, so it looks like it's like cutting into the second floor of the shop, pretty much, for the most part. The metal itself, even though it's not very thick, probably like 20 feet.
Okay.
15, maybe about 15 feet. Kind of, squarish.
Okay.
Triangular-ish.
like if it was a metal
rectangle.
Wall, like a piece of a metal
Exactly.
wall.
Yes. So it's like a piece, but it's what it is. It's the underside, because they had put like some undersiding on the floating part of the city. It had crashed down that the whole like tilt thing only happened just almost 3 hours ago now. So yeah. Help! My wife!
We'll go inside.
Okay. As
I'm gonna peek in the
you
door.
start through the door's open because like the two were exiting as the thing fell, so they didn't close the door. And as you start going towards the door, the two of you start going towards the door. A dark-skinned woman with dark curly hair, in these small ringlets, about a little past her shoulders, runs in with like this dark blue cape kind of like billowing behind her a bit, runs in just before you. And as the two of you step through the door, she kind of looks back at you, and you see this, let's see, I think it was a, give me 2 seconds.
And did we see her before we entered? Like, was she a passerby in the street? Was she someone
You didn't see her before you entered. No, it's almost like she just came running in. And she will look to the shop owner, which is a gnome. Euclid, where's your wife? She's upstairs. She's upstairs with the baby. And the woman will kind of look back at the two of you and start running upstairs. Come help.
Of course.
Yep, Teagan will follow.
Oh,
Are Ren and Zephyr with us?
Yeah, I guess.
Zephyr, I would say, might kind of like stand downstairs with Euclid, with the shopkeeper. I mean, Ren would probably run upstairs
plan
with
this
you.
out?
What did you say?
So did you even plan this out?
Yeah, did you even plan this out? Yeah, so let me just pull my notes down here because it's hard to like look up at them. Yes, so you see this dark-skinned woman with this like dark blue cape kind of billowing behind her. She runs up the steps, calls out for help for the two of you. The two of you kind of go after her.
Yes.
As you start going up the steps, you start feeling like, and as you had went into the shop, like you could see a piece of the metal kind of sticking up from the ceiling, or sticking down from the ceiling. A few of the shelves had knocked over. There was a mess, and Euclid, of course, isn't cleaning up anything. He's too worried about what's happening, and kind of standing at the bottom of the stairs, waiting for the group of you to possibly save his wife. And yeah, it was kind of a mess. Like it had knocked ajar some shelves. The steps, as you start going up them, you can tell there's been some kind of structure damage. So a piece of the metal or something kind of bumped into the steps. They are a little bit wobbly, but you feel, the woman ran up them right before you. So you feel like even though they're kind of creaking under your feet a lot, you feel like you can still get up there safely. As you go up the steps, you see a woman in the corner of the room, a female gnome, crying and just kind of reaching, grasping air as looking towards this huge piece of metal that is separating the room almost in half. My baby's over there. Please.
All right. So
The woman immediately goes. The woman that came up before you immediately goes to the female gnome and starts comforting her. What do the two of you want to do?
I want to cast levitate on that big hunkin' thing. Levitate can levitate a target that weighs up to 500 pounds. So I'm going to see if maybe it's a lightweight metal.
Okay. Ranerius, you feel the spell is working, but the piece of metal is pretty lodged into the house. You see it move up, and it does move up a little bit. And so there is like a small gap of maybe 2 feet from the floor of the second level. There is a small gap on like the right side of the metal too, but it's very you have the sharp metal there, or what you would think would be maybe sharp-ish. There's just a small, like maybe a 1.5 foot gap on one side that you can squeeze through. So it is working, and so it does give you about a 2 foot gap underneath.
I can hold this here, but I can't get it up anymore, Teagan.
okay. So Okay, Teagan will try to get through that gap.
Okay.
I guess that's the only way to get to the other side of the room, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you have a gap on the right side of it that's like a 1.5 foot, and you have that 2 foot gap underneath.
Lure the baby over with treats.
You do hear the baby screaming and crying over on the other side of the room. The mother, of course, is still crying out, pleading for you to help her child. Yeah, if you so what are you doing, Teagan? Are you going under? Or are you going beside?
Okay, so what we have
2 foot gap on the bottom, a 1.5 foot on the right side.
2 foot gap on the bottom, and on the right side, what, like up against
That's
the wall, I guess?
Yeah, up against the wall, in between the metal, the edge of the side of the metal and the wall.
That's like gnomish size. Make mama go get the baby.
Is Gavin still with you?
Can Teagan tell if the piece of metal was going to drop down any further? Was it going to go down, or was it going to go to the right? Like, which way was it going to fail, kind of thing?
Oh, it would fall down.
So,
like, you would have watched while Ranerius cast levitate and saw that the metal raised.
Okay. Oh, brother. 2 feet under, right? Okay.
2 feet under, 1.5 foot to the side.
Jackie Chan it.
Yeah, I'm going to roll under. Yeah.
Okay. All right. As you kind of get back from it a couple of feet to kind of get that kind of like moving roll going, as you kind of take those first couple of steps and start to get into your roll, you do feel that the floor is a little unstable. as you're rolling because the metal had cut through that part. So make a dexterity saving throw for me as you're rolling onto these over these unstable floorboards.
13 plus 7. 30, 20.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So you're rolling. You feel those boards kind of give under you. Even before you get to the blade, the blade, even before you get to the piece of metal that's like hovering up, even before you get like under that, you feel the boards kind of give and you feel yourself start to go down through the giving boards. You do have a split second though to grab a hold of one of the boards on the other side. As you're like falling into the first floor, you're able to reach up and kind of grab hold. And so right now you're like hanging below to the first floor. So you can drop down, which would be probably like 6 feet maybe. It's not very tall ceilings.
Right.
Or you can try to pull yourself up, which would get you to the other side where the baby's at. You just have to be careful of the metal.
I will pull myself up.
How long does levitate last, Ranerius?
10 minutes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so make a strength check, Teagan.
Oh. Why did it have to be strength? Oh dear. 5 minus 1, 4.
Okay. So you try to pull yourself up and you get yourself enough to where you can see the other side. You can see the baby in like a crib. There's a few decorations on the wall. They definitely have it kind of decorated up for the baby. And you feel your fingers kind of like give, or maybe like a splinter kind of driving into one of your fingers, and you let go and fall the 5 feet into the first floor. And
all right.
Almost, wait a minute. Okay, no. You
kill Zephyr by falling.
barely miss Zephyr and the shop owner. Oh, are you? And the shop owner, Euclid, immediately helps you up, and so does Zephyr. And Zephyr's like, "Did you even plan this out?"
I'll give Zephyr a little like. Do you have any thoughts on the matter? Anyway, okay, all right. Pick myself up. Go back upstairs.
Okay.
Take 2. All right. So under isn't going so hot. What does it look like to the right?
To the
Foot
right,
and a half?
it's about a 1.5 gap.
18 inches. That's Zephyr's wood elf. He's kind of thin.
Make a perception check for me, Teagan, as you're looking at this.
Check. That's a natural 1.
Okay.
Should have got that probability potion.
The dark-skinned woman is going to kind of you hear some footsteps beside of you, and you see her kind of walk past you and go towards that gap in between the metal and the wall, and she will just expertly kind of like glide on through by like pushing herself against the wall and just kind of take a long step. As she does that, she'll kind of like look back at you and like not more or less like almost like an unspoken like idiot, and go through there. Man. And you hear her kind of cooing to the baby on the other side because you can't see, through the metal, of course. You hear her kind of cooing to the baby, and then she'll hold out the baby through the gap. And could someone grab her so I can get through?
Teagan will take the baby.
Okay. All right. You take that step towards. You do feel the board's giving a bit, but I'll say that you're knowing that it's going to happen, so you won't step out of the way and be able to grab the baby and step back.
You spiked the baby to the first floor.
And the woman who saved the baby will slide through, and will take the baby out of your arms, Teagan, and hand it over to the mother, who immediately is thanking you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I'm so. You do kind of a piece of board kind of falls from the ceiling as you're standing there talking. The woman will kind of usher the gnome woman downstairs. Like, come on, we should go. It's not safe up here. And go downstairs.
We go downstairs.
We go downstairs, yeah.
Great. Euclid thanks all of you.
I'm going to keep concentrating on that
Okay.
on that piece of wood until everyone's out of the building.
Okay. All right. Do you
Or
say
metal.
anything to anyone about doing that?
I don't know what's going to happen when I stop lifting this metal up. I think we should all leave.
Good idea. And come on, let's go. We'll find you a place to stay. The shopkeeper will start to exit out, and you'll see him kind of step back in and grab this kind of like wooden block and go back out. So everyone's out of the building, Ranerius.
All right, I release levitate.
Okay, all right. You release levitate. You, as you immediately do that, and I'm gonna say are you standing inside doing that, or are you standing?
No. After we're all
Okay, all right. So you're outside
No, I'm
and
standing under
you
the
release
the metal.
levitate, and you hear. Well, I have to ask, and you hear that kind of like
He
this
sacrificed himself.
drop, and you look if you're looking inside, like you see just more shelves come down, and because the metal from being levitated and being dropped again, like has like cut even deeper into the first floor. And you look over at Euclid, and he's just shaking his head. It's like, oh, my shop. And the woman that went in to help the two of you, it's okay. We'll get you resettled. Emma here, and she'll kind of look past the two of you, and if you look, you'll see a blonde. Let's see here. Let me see what she. I think she's human, but let me just double check here. Oh yeah, she's human and finely dressed. With this kind of like off-white cape over her shoulders and this kind of like rusty blue dress. She's talking to some other people, so the woman that helped you will be like, oh, well, let me take you over to the hospital. They seem to have some people there that are giving people, placed into other homes or at an inns if they need. Oh well, we can go there. We won't take any more of your time, Council Calen. Okay, if you're sure, please take care of yourselves. And the family will turn and start walking down the street. The woman that was just referred to as Calen will look to the or Calen, I think is the correct pronunciation I have. Well, not that
Crossover?
Calen. She
Timeline is this?
Calen is elven. You can tell by her ears. And again, she has she has dark skin, very tight ringed hair that falls a bit past her shoulders. She'll kind of look to you, specifically to you, Teagan, and just kind of nod. You did okay in there.
So did you.
Well, of course. And she'll give you kind of a wry smile. You'll hear the voice of the other woman that was standing by, Emma, who Calen referred to. Well, that was quite the predicament. Thank you so much. And just as she's starting to talk, you hear, you see the gnome shopkeeper kind of run back down the street, like carrying this like weird flat box. I almost forgot. Here for helping my family, and he'll hand the box over to you, Teagan. It's a ladder. It extends to 30 feet. It's a thing I've been working on. It stays collapsed and then just kind of slides out. Please take it. I thank you,
If you insist.
Councilwoman. And he'll
That's
nod,
very kind of you.
nod at you, Ranerius, and the rest, and run back down the street to where his what we would assume is his wife and his child are waiting. Oh, he's always such a sweetheart. And that's the human blonde, Emma. So, I don't believe that we've made your acquaintance. I am Councilwoman Emma. This is Calen. Pleased to meet you.
My name is Ranerius. It is good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ranerius.
Seeing that Ranerius used his real name, Teagan will say,
Whoops.
well, it doesn't matter now. So he will say, Teagan Sheridan.
Pleasure.
How is, I mean, you think things will be under control soon?
Well, we are definitely working on it. Us and the guard are helping quite a bit. And yes, hopefully, we're still trying to figure out, and she'll kind of, glance at Calen, still trying to figure out what exactly happened, but we're trying.
We were on our way into town when we saw the tower shift. We weren't sure what was happening, if we were seeing things, but I guess we weren't.
Yes. She'll look to Calen and it's a damnedest thing. We were up in the government center and in our home, and all of a sudden everything shifted, almost as if we were turned on our side, and but we got it under control and seemed to be back. Although and she'll kind of look up at because I mentioned that what you would think was like an elevator or staircase leading up to the top portion of the city was crooked since that happened. Fortunately, our way up is a bit, and our way down is a bit not really working. Emma laughs. Yes, well, we're working on that as well, so. But it's the least of our problems compared to others in the city who've suffered.
Indeed.
So what brings you adventurers to town? We always like to meet new people, especially when they're new to the city, and especially when they're helping each other.
We had brought a friend here who needed some help from a local shaman, and he's there right now.
Oh, wonderful. Crevin.
Yes.
Good hands. I don't know. If you like crystals, I guess. He does good work. You'll like him.
That's what we've heard.
Well, since you're a bit of heroes, Calen will kind of clear her throat. Well, they didn't do all the work, but sure. You have to excuse her. If you want to come up and, at some point during your stay, I'm not sure how long you're planning to stay here. Again, pardon all of this. And she kind of motions towards, like, the general chaos, mild chaos. But feel free to head up to the government center if you would like to meet the Queen Council or do anything else up there. Here, Calen, do you have a coin? Oh,
How do our pendants feel, by the way?
I was just going to
your
ask.
pendants feel fine.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Golden. Yeah. And she'll kind of hand this coin over to Emma, and Emma kind of hands the coin to you, Teagan, I'll say. Here, just present that to the, again, since our way up, our usual, like, we have a lovely elevator system that someone built for us, but unfortunately it's out of service right now. But we have some people up doing some mages doing teleportation circles, going up to the, and well, in both directions. And just present that coin to them and they will let you ride on. So no waiting in line. I know that it's quite, can be quite taxing. Some people are waiting there for, gosh, an hour, Emma. That's the last I heard. But if you show that coin to them, they'll know that you have official business up in the center and they will give you access.
I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Teagan, make a perception check, please. As you're, I take it you look at the coin?
Yes.
Okay.
Give it a quick glance. Okay. Perception. 10 plus 5, 15.
Okay. Yeah, you're looking at this coin. On the front of the coin is a, what would look kind of like maybe a tiefling character. I mean, it's kind of like a tiefling shape. Like you can see the horns. It looks kind of, otherwise looks human. It looks human. Almost from like the top of the waist up. But the figure is completely shrouded in like a in a shroud, I guess. Completely has a shroud covering them. But you do see the drapes that kind of drape over the horns and kind of drape over like a female figure. And that's kind of raised like on, say, our coins, you know, as players. Kind of raised off of the metal. On the other side, if you flip it over, are 6 women, I think. Yeah, 6 women. You will notice that Calen and Emma, it seems like their likeness is on the back, along with 2 notes, along with 3 other women, 2 tieflings that look, 2 tieflings and one that's either, it's hard to tell from the metal if they're either drow or another, or elven. And then the 6th figure looks very familiar to you.
Rinka?
Nope, you would recognize
Pyxrin?
it as Lashta.
Oh my.
Lashta was at the orphanage, right?
Yes, correct.
All right.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting.
And yeah. Well, if there's nothing else that we can help you with while we're here, we're gonna head on out. Oh, Gavin, hello. Hello. I didn't think you saw me here, but I'm right here. It's wonderful to meet you. And you see, like, as the two of you are like watching this conversation, you see Calen like roll her eyes and just like turn and start walking like in whatever direction they were going to go. Obviously not wanting to talk to Gavin. Well, I need to go, Gavin, but have a pleasant day, as the rest of you as well. And if there's anything that we can do to help repay you for helping out our citizens, please just give us a visit. You get up there and it's, you know, this, you can't miss it. It's the courthouse. It's the biggest, well, it looks like, she wouldn't say courthouse. It's the, it's the government center. It has columns. it's the biggest building up there, so you won't be able to miss it. All right. Well, bye. She'll kind of give like a slight bow and turn, and
I bow
kind of
back.
hurry her steps to catch up with Calen.
They're always so nice.
They are, I guess, I'll say to Gavin, I guess they are part of the people who run the city.
Well, the city is ran by Queen Council Isotta. She runs the city, and they're kind of her councilwomen. So they're a step below the Queen Council.
Oh, okay.
Her name was Queen Council Kata?
Isotta. If you need to spell it, it's Isotta. You know, if you need to spell it in your notebook things.
I never would have guessed that was the spelling.
Of course you wouldn't. Names are weird, right?
How do you spell Gavin?
All right. So y'all turn, and now you're heading back towards the
Crivens, yeah.
Yeah, Crivens. All right. So I will say that as you turn to go, you do notice that it is getting a little bit. You'll notice that a few guards kind of have clustered by the shop that the metal fell into, and they're kind of like roping it off almost. And as you start back towards the healer shop, you can tell that it's starting to get evening. So the sun is setting on the city, and that's when we'll go back over to Jurble and Pyxrin. So, get down to my notes. My God, Stephanie. Just jumping all over the place. So, Jurble, you had just gotten out, and, Criven gave you a towel to dry off, and, they kind of look to you, and you can see the sincerity in their eyes. The light has gotten a little bit dimmer in the room, but there are several candles lit. They were lit from the time that you got there earlier on in the day. It's a very soft glow in the room right now. Pyxrin still kind of standing to the side, kind of a little bit shaken from what just happened. I don't think that there's much I can do for you. I'm so sorry. And they'll point to a crystal across the room. I used that on your wound earlier, and, and they'll pick up the crystal, which is kind of larger than the other crystals that they've been using for, that they've sat like around you and on you during the rituals. And they'll kind of put it in their two hands and kind of bring it over. And Jurble, you can see and I'll say Pyxrin kind of steps closer to look. It's almost like inside this quartz crystal, and quartz, like, of course, isn't clear. It's very a cloudy white, but you can usually kind of see through them a bit. Criven will kind of hold it up, kind of so that at least the dying light from the window will kind of hit it a bit. And you can see these kind of grayish forms swirling inside of it. It reminds you a lot of what you saw on the Bugbear after you killed it there at the campsite. And kind of reminds you of the spirits that you saw in your dream vision thing. These drew out from your wound, sort of. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. You're not fully healed. I think we were able to get some of it out and to be able to stabilize you. You shouldn't, but here, and they'll kind of like give the crystal to you to hold, or give it to Pyxrin. Pyxrin will kind of put out her hands and kind of hold it as Crevin goes back and kind of goes to this drawer and pulls out this crystal talisman of sorts that has like a loop on it, tied with different yarns, different colored yarns. Here, I would wear this around at your belt, on the side of your wound, on the side that has the wound, and it should keep the pain down as well as any other side effects, kind of keep them as minimalized as possible. I feel... I'm sorry that I couldn't do anything else or take this out of you. I just don't understand what... It's not anything I've ever seen before. And we did have the other gentleman that came through, Robert, I believe his name was, but he didn't stay long enough for me to look at him like you have, and thank you for that. But so I wasn't able to quite get the same effect or the same conclusion as this, but it's like I've seen a lot of things, Jurble. I've studied a lot. Studied a bit with Cullum, the great alchemist of our time, and it reminds me of things that he was studying in his time, things that he was looking at. But they didn't have to do with this plane. It was from... Cullum will kind of... Crevin... Why, Stephanie? 2 C names. Crevin will kind of reach into a pouch on his side and bring out this crystal and just kind of hold it up to his head for a second. I think, if I remember correctly, a demiplane? Pyxrin's eyes will go wide. Oh. And she'll look at you, Jurble.
I will make eye contact with her and just be like...
Well, we were just in a different demiplane. I had the accent for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And then it went away. We were just in one. Okay. Well, if you're going back, I would just, perhaps find answers. I mean, you can ignore it, Jurble, but as far as I can tell, unless there's something else that takes it away, there's nothing that I can do with all of my years of studying to make it better than I have for you. And I will say, Jurble, that you do feel like, even though you haven't taken any of that medicine that they gave, that you were given by Kalos since before, I think, getting to this city. So it's been almost a whole day now. You don't feel those usual, that sickness that you did before. You feel better. You still feel like a weird ache coming from that wound, that almost feels like it's coming from inside of you, that the ache. It's not like the wound is stinging. It's like an ache from within. And yeah, if you think about it, so you're standing there thinking about your wound, and you do feel, you start to feel a little your stomach drop a bit, but other than that, you don't feel as bad as you did.
I I thank you for what you were able to do. Um, uh, um, I think I have a better idea of where I can get these answers. To some of our questions. Um,
Oh,
this
go ahead.
this Robert that was
Yes.
here who had the similar. Why did he leave? Why?
I don't know. I checked him out. I asked if he would stay for me to, like I did you, and he declined. And there's no way that I could force him to stay here. So I tried asking around later that day or the next day even, and no one had seen him. Of course, it's a big city, so some people were a bit dismissive, but I don't know. I mean, seems like he came in to see me and then, or came in to do something and then ended up seeing me about it and then decided that his, job, his work, that whatever he needed to do here was done. And so he left the city. And unfortunately, I have no idea where he's went off to. Even tried consulting my crystals, and it's inconclusive. I am going to study the crystal, and he'll kind of take it from Pyxrin and set it back onto where he had it sitting before on the counter. I'm going to continue studying it, and if I learn of anything, and he'll kind of reach into another drawer and bring out a few things and take a couple of stones out of a velvet bag and spend a couple of minutes, and he's dead silent for a moment, and then he'll turn and give you one of the stones. Just let me reach out if I find out anything else, and if you need any advice about what's happening, feel free to reach out as well, of course.
Of course. Thank you. Shaman Criven. I know you are a healer. Thank you with the crystals and everything, but would you consider yourself a kind of would you consider yourself a type of mage? Or does the magic come from the crystals you work with?
I do have a bit of healing ability, yes. Most in my position. Kalos, you've met Kalos, he has some healing ability. So, in a way, yes, it is a type of magic.
I mean, you probably know more than I do, but just be careful. And Jurble gesture at the big crystal with the dark swirling of evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, you seem like a very kind person, but be careful of. I'll kind of look. Glance at Pyxrin and just try to don't think any dark thoughts near, specifically thoughts of revenge, anger.
Sure, I don't have many of those, I have to say, but I will remember that. Thank you, Jurble.
Yes.
In fact, so it doesn't affect patients, I'll keep it in a back room.
That's probably for the best.
Well, again, if anything comes up before you leave the city, if you start feeling worse or anything new, let me know. Stop in. Always feel free, or if you're traveling by. I would recommend you speak to Colum that I studied with, but I don't know where he's at right now. Last I heard, he had a house in the mountains. Or at least that's what he talked about doing.
Have I heard that name before?
You definitely have.
Do I remember where I heard that from?
I think it was. It's been mentioned a few times. I think you've heard Cullen mentioned along with him being a magic user, a very powerful magic user. Cullen Crenthora is the full name.
How do you spell
that? Cullum is Cullem.
Oh, hey, I got that one right.
And Crenthora is Krenthora.
Man, tonight we've met a Calen, a Cullen,
And a Gavin.
a Crevin,
Oh man, some of those
a Kalos.
were older names. Yeah, I know. My goodness.
And then there was, way back when, there was Kring and
I'm well aware.
Christ. I'm picking up a theme.
K's and C's?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting names mixed up.
Sorry.
Crevin will turn to Pyxrin and I have something that might help you. Give me one moment. And we'll go to a drawer and pull out a few things and kind of work for like a minute or two. And you'll see their hands kind of swiftly moving and wrapping things and getting a vial out and kind of holding it up to the light and then pouring a bit in. And they'll turn around and present this. From what you can tell, Jurble, it looks like a black rock like vial that's about 2 inches tall and about an inch in diameter, almost in a diamond shape or almost like maybe a teardrop shape, with a stopper on the top secured with some metal. Here you go. This is just made with what is that rock that it's made with? Anyways, it's made with a rock that I need to find, and it has dragon's blood in it. This will protect you, hopefully, from what you're running from. I fear you may need it. Oh, well, thank you. And it's on like a rope, and so I don't know if she puts it on or puts it in her pocket, but you don't have to wear it around your neck, but you can keep it anywhere. Well, and just at that moment, a guard bursts through the door. He kind of notices the two of you and just kind of bows. Shaman, we need assistance at the I was called a hospital, whatever. At the hospital. We need at the clinic. We need some assistance. Crevin kind of looks to the two of you. Again, stop in if you need anything. And we'll start grabbing like a satchel and putting some things in. What seems to be the problem? The miners that didn't die, that were brought in from out of the mines. They're acting a little funny, acting a little strange. Okay. Symptoms? Oh, they seem to be just running a fever, not being unconscious. It seems like that they have. I mean, they do have wounds, but I don't know. I can't. We can't put our finger on it. We need you to try and take a look. Okay. All right. If you don't mind, Jurble and Pyxrin until some other time. Good night.
Good night. Does Jurble still feel weak? Does he still have like that point of exhaustion from like?
We'll say at the point.
Is he still?
We'll say the exhaustion is gone because of the healing and everything that happened during your time here.
Okay. But I'm still not like feeling 100%.
I mean,
like...
it's again like it's just like this dull ache from the wound. I mean, that's pretty much it. If you sit like earlier when you were kind of standing there and thinking about the wound, actually when you started feeling that ache and started kind of recognize it in your system, you would feel your stomach kind of drop a bit, but that could have been just because, it's not, he said he can't do anything, like they said they can't do anything for me, you know what I mean? But you do feel like a dull ache from the wound, sure. Crevin will, the medicine you have left over, keep it. If anything happens with your friends, I know you're adventuring types. Feel free to use if you need to. It won't heal them, but it will do the same, like if anything happens as it happened to you.
All right, of course, then. Thank you.
Of course.
I'll get up and I'll fold the towel really badly. He doesn't know how to fold it. Just
right.
Set it.
Good night. And as
I guess we'll follow her out of her.
Yeah, as the two of you head out, the Shaman Criven will right after you leave, you'll hear them kind of pull the door behind them, and the guards they almost like outpace you because you're kind of figuring out where you're, where should we start? They outpace you and just quickly walk down the street they quickly walk down the street together. Very, of course, hurry to get where they need to go. As you're watching them, though, you see familiar faces. You see Teagan, Ranerius, everyone that wasn't there, walking back down the street together towards. And Ranerius and Teagan, you see Jurble step out of the shop with Pyxrin, as well as Shaman Criven and a couple of guards. And you see the shaman and the two guards kind of like quickly like passing you. The shaman will, of course, stop and just kind of nod his head and motion back to Jurble. Have a good night. And then quickly like pick up their pace to catch up with the guards.
All right.
And it is getting evening time. You would know that as you, especially Teagan and Ranerius, since y'all have been the ones kind of going a few streets around, would know that you have passed a few places. You would have passed, I would say, the Beggar's Tavern. You probably would have seen the Highway Woman as well, which seemed like another tavern. But that was more back towards the shop that you helped out in, and Gavin's. You also saw the Gilded Roost there as well.
Jurble, how are you feeling?
Teagan, I feel better. I'm gonna have to make a call to. As I'm saying that, is Gavin still with
Oh,
him?
that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I was just
So
gonna,
you
yeah.
also see this little like this little green goblin male with this like white shirt and red pants and this like jacket that looks like it was like made for a kid, so it's kind of even a little bit oversized for him.
Hey, hi.
I'm gonna lean over to Teagan and in Elvish. I'm gonna say, "Why is there a goblin following you around?"
I'll reply in Elvish that he is the alchemist who tried to analyze what that mucus was actually not a fungus, it was a gas, and it was the daggers were dipped in the gas, and
The whole time I'm just like smiling, not making eye contact, like making eye. Like,
Gavin's just kind
not
of like
taking my
looking
eyes.
around happily and just like, and we'll probably say to the others like,
Well, it looks like we missed the shaman. He looks like he's. It looks like they're kind of busy. Yeah. But your friend's fine.
yeah. So you can continue your conversation.
and he ingested some of the poison as well. Well, not ingested. He's broke the vial and in his workshop and got some in his ears. He said so.
Are you being quiet about this, or
They're speaking in
speaking-
Elvish.
We're speaking in Elvish,
oh,
so
So just
I will reply in Elvish. I'm kind of worried.
yeah, we're worried about Gavin.
I'll do a quick double take at Renarius.
I didn't know you guys spoke a different language. That's really cool.
Well, you know,
Sorry.
And
old
you'll hear Zephyr,
habits.
rude.
Yeah, sorry. Old habits. We've been traveling together for a while.
I can tell. It seems like
Yeah.
you guys are really close. Well, I want to get back to my shop. Maybe take in a customer or two before we close up. Like, not permanently, but for the night. Glad to see you're feeling better. Everything okay now?
Oh, yes, I'm healing. I'm feeling right as rain.
That's great. Well,
do you have a place? Do you have a suggestion of where you think we should stay for the night?
well, I mean, it all depends. I mean, I myself prefer, if you're looking for a tavern, the Beggar's Tavern is my favorite, but might be a little bit lowbrow for some, but I enjoy it. And then, I would say as far as staying places, the Gilded Roost is probably your best bet here. If you want to go really fancy, there's a fancy tavern up top that's called Brigby's. Really fancy. There's also an inn called the Courtesan, but I don't know. I mean, maybe y'all be up to it, but I mean, it's not the best. But I would say go to the Gilded Roost would be my personal suggestion. I had a family that came in and stayed there. They seemed to enjoy it. They kind of complained about the price, but I was like, hey, you get what you pay for. You want a bath? Pay for the bath.
Yeah.
I appreciate your wisdom, Gavin. Thank you for
People
the
say I'm
recommendations.
wise. That's what they say. Well, if you need anything tomorrow or, in the next hour or two, I'll be at the shop. It's been a fun time. Good luck to ya. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.
And he'll
Bye.
he'll walk down the street and someone passes him like,
Hey!
Oh gosh. Jurble's just gonna be like, bye. Until he can't see it anymore.
yeah.
But then he'll turn back to you. We're not going to the place he said he liked.
I'll just turn to Ranerius. Well, I don't know. I hope we'll check on him tomorrow, I suppose.
If he doesn't try to kill us in the night, yes.
I don't. Well, I don't think.
I'll turn back to you like, I think he has a point. I'll tell you.
All right.
Is there people?
All right.
Is there still like people around us? Like
It's getting towards the evening. I mean, you do. There are some like lamps around the city that have some like I don't know, maybe gas lamps or oil lamps that kind of have been turned on, and you'll see someone kind of going around like a lamplighter and turning the lamps on. But there are some people on the street, not really over in this section. You looking down the street, you might see some more, as that's kind of going more towards not kind of like the main road of town. That kind of, you're kind of more towards the side and more towards where like the city went up. So it's kind of like you're getting almost into the industrial side of things, but kind of on that kind of cusp.
Okay. Oh,
Well, if you're up for it,
yes.
Jurble, I think we should. I look to Ranerius and like, I think the Gilded Roost is probably our best bet. That's not the place he suggested.
Okay.
Wait, no, the Gilded Roost.
I
is
think
the
that
place
was the
That's where
final what he suggested.
that's where he said his parents.
He said his
but
family stayed there.
Yeah,
But
he likes the other place.
he likes the
lowbrow place.
beggar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the lowbrow.
Oh, okay.
Well, just to clear it up, the Beggar's Tavern is just a tavern.
Okay.
I mean, maybe one of those will have rooms, you don't know, but there are specific, he would have like indicated that the Beggar's, you have the Beggar's Tavern, you have the Highway Woman, which is a tavern. The Courtesan is an inn, and the Gilded Roost is an inn. And he said there's also a tavern up top called Brigby's that's on the floating part of the city.
I think that the Gilded Roost would be fine.
Yeah, let's head for there.
All right. Cool. So yeah, y'all head down the street. As I said, I think I mentioned that you would have seen the Gilded Roost during your walk, or at least seen it in the distance. It's a little past Gavin's shop. And as you kind of walk towards that part of town, you start seeing more people out in the streets. People heading home, but people also heading to the taverns or just, talking. And also, you still get that kind of air of kind of like small, mild panic, of just the events of the day. And, people in the street kind of talking to each other and gossiping and again, like, I'm not sure, but like you see a myriad of races here, as you already can tell from the people that you've met. You do see a lot of tieflings. It's not prominently tieflings, but you're talking about like in percentage wise, probably like 65% of the people that you're passing, maybe 60 are tieflings, or at least of some mix of tiefling and something. So you you go down a few streets, go past Gavin's. I would say you might slink past Gavin's. You do see his sign is still open. The light's on in the shop. You slink past there, and about a couple more streets over, as the crowds start picking up, or people start picking up, you do see the Gilded Roost in the distance. Very nice sign, made out of metal, painted, almost like raised metal, for the words, for the lettering. Everyone goes inside. It's a nice atmosphere. They do have a like a small, looks like off to the right, kind of like a small bar area. But the main part, you can tell the main part is definitely an inn, as there's a check-in desk, with a tiefling standing behind, male, kind of casual, formal dressed, looking through a book, that's sitting there, maybe like a log book. Oh, Hello, welcome to the Gilded Roost. Looking for a room.
Yes, several.
Wonderful. So 1, 2, 3, 6 rooms for you. You have 6 people.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Oh no, where did that go? All right. For the 6 rooms, it would be let's see here, 8 gold.
All right. Teagan will
8 gold apiece or 8 gold together?
total.
8 gold total.
I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yes.
I pay my share, which is 1 gold, 2 silver, ish.
Let's see, how many people are there? Let's say 12 gold.
Okay. So
You guys
2
can
gold.
take 2 even. Sorry.
Math.
Math.
I did math. And the price went up. No.
We'll make it easy. All right. So here are your keys, and hand each of you a key with your room number on it, all on the 2nd floor. And you'll kind of look around at the lot of you. No help with bags, I take it.
No.
I think we're fine.
Excellent. All right. Well, if you need anything at all, we have the bar is open all night, and all day. They do serve some food, but that does stop in about 2 hours. It's a very small menu, but if you need anything, we don't offer room service just because we are low staff. We've had a couple of people, anyways, just low staff right now. But if you need anything at all, you can either come down here, or there's also a bell in your room to ring, and he'll kind of motion towards like a line of bells, a bell system behind him, which will alert, someone down here. So please, again, if you need anything at all.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think we'll go grab a bite to eat.
Okay. All right. So you go over into the bar area. There are about 10 tables, a full bar to sit down at if you want to. You have a bartender and also a tiefling waitress who seems to be going around kind of. There's a couple of tables kind of more towards the bar that are that have 2 or 3 people at them each. There's maybe 3 or 4 people at the bar talking, one sitting by themselves. Yeah, and so plenty of a table. You would see a nice table in the corner if you wanted kind of a spot away from where people are sitting.
Look to
Yes.
Ranerius. The spot away from the
Yes.
from the crowd. Yes.
Jurble's already going.
If there's
the
not a table
far
for
away.
6, we'll put a couple tables together and yeah.
We gotta be stealthy and quiet.
Oh, wow.
Pushing tables.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Just get
So,
this.
Jurble, how did it go?
The tiefling waitress will come up. So how can I help you? Do you need to know what we serve?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, of course, we have a pretty much full bar if you need that. We have some boiled eggs and mushroom, some dried goose and bread. We have some steamed shellfish and some cheese that comes with that. Sausage and some carrots. And also some hare and cheese that comes with that.
Oh,
I like the
hare and
goose.
rabbit, not hare as
You what?
Cheese, hairy cheese. No.
Oh, you like the rabbit,
No,
not the hare?
no. Can I get the goose? I want. I want to try the goose.
Absolutely. That's 7 copper pieces.
I have exactly 7 copper pieces.
Wow.
It was
meant to
fate.
be. And what for the rest of you?
I'll have the seafood, please.
Wonderful. The steamed saltfish and soft cheese. That's 4 silver pieces.
So we find out Ranerius is allergic to shellfish.
Oh no. Roll for Constitution. I'm just kidding. And for you, sir?
I'll get the sausage and carrots.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is 13 copper pieces. We'll try 1 silver and 3 copper pieces.
All right.
Wow, sausage is expensive. Not like the goose.
Well, it's not 10 gold, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Oh, we also have roasted chicken.
I already ordered the goose.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I was looking on Pinterest today, y'all, and I was looking at taverns and just for inspiration, and I came across a picture of a chicken, of a roasted chicken that was literally sitting up on the plate. Like they sat it up, and I immediately thought of y'all, and I was like, well, there's her 10 gold chicken.
Yeah.
It was so funny that it was with the tavern pictures. Like it was like tavern building, tavern inside, roasted chicken sitting on a plate, tavern. I was like, oh my god, this
How
was
does that
right.
qualify?
it
Just
was meant
right.
to be. All right, I will go and get that for you. Anything to drink? Would you like some ale for all of you?
Water would be good. Thank you.
Okay, water for you. Anything for the rest of you?
Coffee.
Coffee, got it. There's be one.
Uh,
We'll say it's like 2 copper pieces for coffee.
Do you have any tea?
We do. We have some lavender tea. We have some wildflower tea. We also have a more kind of sweeter tea that tastes kind of like cupcakes. And so Pyxrin immediately, oh, I want that. I want 3
Like
pieces of that.
Knock
Just
some
imagine
over.
like pictures of this like racer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah.
I will take the wildflower tea.
Okay,
please.
that'll be 1 copper piece. All right. If that's all, I will bring, and I will say the rest of everyone else orders as well. So yeah, she heads into the back.
When she's gone?
She's gone.
Sorry, I'll worry about that later. So, so they did. Criven did the best they could, but it's still. I don't know if there will be much healing. I mean, I feel better, but it's still. I don't think it was poison so much as some kind of. I think it's just Shiga, and I'll whisper that. I think it's just Shiga inside of me. Ever since I thought it was the medicine at first, but I've been having strange nightmares and dreams. But when they were treating me, I had one vivid dream of Gorbin attacking me, and I fought back, and then I believe Shiga itself manifested in front of me as just hundreds of spirits of all speaking with one voice. They wanted to use me. They tried to build up on my rage that I've had towards my brother. They 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 offered to help me kill him. Said that give me time to think it over, but I'm that we need to. I think we need to talk to Aurelius again, or go back to Dim Glimt. I don't know, but I'm now worried. We were already trying to. We thought this thing was just attracted to people, with magic and anger and everything. But if they could just stab anyone, I don't know.
I think talking to Aurelius would be a prudent move. I think that's a good way of thinking.
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of surprising that I'm even telling you all, because I think if this had happened before we met Aurelius, before I was able to bury Addie, I probably would have taken them up in a heartbeat. But with the destruction and death we've seen,
I don't know that.
Oh God.
It's the Sheikah! Run!
that legit scared me. Okay.
Wild. Of all times, Alexis.
What did I say?
Really?
Okay. Oh gosh. I'm concerned about. Part of me wants to find this Robert guy who seemed to have the same injury but didn't care and ran off. But now you bring me this strange goblin who inhaled it through his ears. But if
Sorry.
But if, I mean, this was just from one dagger, from one bugbear. Oh, not even a strong bugbear. He'll gesture at Ranu.
True.
I mean, if Gorbin's army has. I mean, we already knew the Shiga was a threat, but if they've actually, weaponized, I mean, that is something that they said to me, but not that I would trust whatever they said to me, but they said they don't, they admitted that Gorbin is using the Shiga, which, I mean, we knew that, but they also say that he's not helping them with their goals to change the world for their vengeance. So, I mean, if that's... I don't know. My head's all still fuzzy from getting here. So. And I don't know. This all seems so strange. I mean, do we even know where the army is anymore? I mean, because they're not in Bornheim, right?
Well, that's the last place we saw them.
But
They were sending up patrols to near Mossvale and stuff, but and Echo, but I don't know if they've made any major moves since then. But maybe we should pursue this Calen. I don't know. But Aurelius might have a lead on that, you think?
I mean, all Criven said was in the mountain, in the just house of the mountain or something.
Well, in the morning we're going to check in on Gavin, and Gavin's an alchemist, so.
But Gavin's inhaled with his ears. Why does that not concern you guys?
It does. But he says he's treated himself for poisons, so I don't know.
This isn't a poison. This is an entity of 1,000 angry dead mages. That's not really a poison. Before we Jurble turned to Ranerius. Before we got sidetracked with all the stuff about Bornheim and Mossfair and all that, I mean, in Echo, and we were gonna go back to Bern, right? We were gonna see you wanted to see Z, right?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, all we know, not saying all crazy magic people who live in the woods alone know each other, but but then again, I don't know. I just came back to consciousness. Where's my goose?
Just as you think that the waitress will come back out, she'll make a couple of trips and bring your food. It looks delicious. Here you go. If you need, and your drinks. If you need anything else, just let me know.
Thank you.
And she'll leave. Kind of checking on other tables and going in the back.
We were, while you were being treated, we were also invited to see the council of the city. If we so choose, we could travel up to the elevated part of the city. And I don't know if you want to be in a flying city ever again, but
Jurble's choking on his goose.
It would interest me to see how this city runs, if they're sacrificing mages, or if they have some other way to keep the city afloat.
As you look around, there's only like the other two tables have we'll say left for the evening, and there's a couple people still sitting at the bar, but you're a good 20 feet, 30, 25, 20 feet away from them.
Haven't had the best of luck with councils.
Well,
or flying cities.
Well, to cheer you up even more, on our way over to Gavin's, we spotted a banner, and we're pretty sure it was one of the banners we saw in the Baron Council
The guards have it on their armor.
as well.
Like I said, we don't have the best of
And
luck
so
with
you
councils.
would have noticed that Jurble when they
Yeah.
came to get Crevin.
I mean, it's, I don't know. After a little bit, though, I'll look back up. I'll look at Pyxrin. What was that the shaman gave you? Protection to?
Oh, this?
Yes.
She'll kind of like, I won't say that she put it on. I won't put that on her, but she'll kind of take it out of her pocket. Yeah. While you were sleeping, we had a little talk, and I told them about my ex and how they're coming to they might be coming after me, and so they did a very nice prayer of protection over me and gave me this. It's made out of some kind of rock and has dragon's blood in it, but it's supposed to help protect. And and they also showed me how to do more of the crystal reading.
Oh.
Is that a skill you'll be using regularly now?
I don't know. It's just something to kind of while away the time. I don't know.
Well, that was very, very kind of them.
It was. They seemed really nice.
Well,
But I guess I think that she would tell you. I guess I should say that they also told me that they could feel that it was closer, that he was closer, and that there was a shift, especially what were the words that they told me? Especially since the change, since there was a shift, that now they're closer. Got a little Scottish there for a second. It's doing so well.
That's not good.
No, it's not. But yeah.
Hard to me.
I had a weird vision too.
Oh boy.
you did.
It was only for a second as we were leaving. I mean, since we're all throwing our stuff out there, since when we were leaving Gavin's, I seemed to have disappeared, and there was smoke all around me, and I saw none of you, and then I came back, and like nothing happened, and I'm not quite sure what to make of that.
Wait, when?
About an hour or two ago.
Did your ears inhale the Shiga smoke with the goblin?
I mean, there was a broken vial given back to Teagan.
Do I feel anything on my key when I look at Ranerius?
No, you don't.
Okay.
As you're processing this Jurble, a guard comes into the tap, through the front door into that kind of area where you first stepped in and comes into the bar area. First talks to the person at the desk. I would say from your table positioning, you'd be able to see this. You'd be able to see like the front desk area. The guard kind of steps up to the tiefling. There's two of them, actually. Talks to them a bit. You can't really hear what they're saying from this distance. And then comes into the bar and talks discreetly to the bartender and the tiefling waitress, who's just standing there chatting. The tiefling waitress looks a little bit alarmed, and so does the bartender. The guard turns to the room, and there's still the two people. There's only your table and the two people at the bar. Not to alarm anyone, but there has been a bit of a street rupture, not too far outside the inn here. So I ask if you're not staying here for the night, that you set out now, and we'll escort you back to your homes. The two that were sitting at the bar quickly start gathering their things and leave with one of the guards, and the other guard's still standing there and kind of looks around and looks at your table and starts kind of walking back to you. Are you staying here for the night?
We are. Yeah. So what's a street rupture? I've never heard of that.
Oh, well, darndest thing. Well, we've had small cracks forming in the street recently, but from today, from what happened earlier today, I don't know how long you've been in town, but had a bit of an incident earlier, and they've all, 1 minute it was just cracks, and the next minute they've kind of broken open. There's we've had one or two kind of form in the last couple of hours, and one just happened a few feet. The building's okay. We've tested the structure around the buildings on the streets, but we did have to evacuate a building across the street. But I feel like your inn is fine. He doesn't laugh. That's me. I feel like
insight check.
Sure, do an insight check. But we did test the structure. You should be fine. If we didn't think so, we would definitely be getting
12.
you out. He seems truthful. Okay. Yeah, I mean, seems a bit tired. It's been a long day for him. And if that changes at all, we'll be sure to let the innkeeper know and go door to door if we need to get everyone out. But I feel you'll be fine. There's enough feet in between this and the structure and that should be okay. Just be wary when exiting tomorrow. There'll probably be people. We rope them off, and so you'll definitely won't be in any issue of any possibility of falling into it or anything. But you'll be able to feel it before you get to it.
That's very 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 comforting. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
As I had overheard earlier tonight about some miners in the clinic. Any words on how they're doing?
Well, it's a big city. Again, not sure how much you've seen of it, but I mean, I've heard. I know of the miners being taken there. Of course, some of them are acting a little strange, but we had we brought the shaman in. Well, the two shamans in. There's one on the other side of town too, but Criven was brought in, so I'm sure everything is fine.
Oh, of course. But I'm sorry, but what do you mean by acting strange?
Oh, well, can't cross his arms. I haven't seen him myself, but something about, I mean, for their wounds, everything was fine. Then all of a sudden they started running a fever and started hallucinating. I don't know. I really don't. If you're interested, you can maybe get some information from the people there at the clinic, but well, I mean, not sure when I'll see you again, but I just check around tomorrow. There might be some more word around the streets tomorrow if you're curious.
No, of course. Thank you.
Welcome. If you need anything, just talk to the innkeeper or see a guard outside. And he kind of like has like a metal cap on. He kind of tips a bit and starts heading out. Talks to the innkeeper before leaving the front door.
Well, I think we should get some rest, but sleep with your boots on.
Part of me just really wants to just get out of this place, but Jurble kind of point to the key. But I guess we technically got hired to look into this kind of stuff. So
Alright. So you are heading to your rooms?
Yeah. How early in the night is it?
Oh, it's probably around this time, probably like by the time you all have eaten and chatted. We'll say like 10 o'clock.
Okay.
perfect time to start playing D&D.
All right. So y'all head up to your rooms, and that's where we'll end tonight's session since we ran a little bit late. I wanted y'all to finish your conversation. All right. So for y'all watching, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate players. Thank you very much. It's been, gosh, if you didn't have a blast, I had a blast. All right, so for our schedule, we have D&D content. We have a lot of D&D content on this channel. Pronounce your word, Stephanie. Monday, Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time is when we have the D&D content. We also have it at Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with Tower of Dreams. Tuesdays, we have Dungeon Craft with Steph and Vic, where myself and Victoria, another DM on the channel, get together to do some dungeon crafting. We make tiles. We do some minis. It's a great time. Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time is Mad Art with Steph, where I, Steph, do some mad art that y'all have voted on the Discord channel, and we're continue to vote. Not this week. We have a lot of backlog we're working through right now, but as soon as that's up, if you're not part of the Discord, you should definitely join that. It's a great time. Also, it's Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which should be returning this week. Madbird Plays, hosted by Victoria, where people from the Madbird community get together to play some tabletop board game, Jackbox games, or other games in the future. So check that out as well. If you haven't looked at our Patreon, we have that going on. So it's a great way to support the channel if you're looking for it. Not only do you get more stuff, we get more back. So it's a great thing. So check that out if you're looking for ways to support us. All right. So I'm going to just hope that the role players are on, since that's who we usually raid. So let's see here if this works. And there we go. All right. So you are the best. Thank you again. Stay safe. We'll see you some other time this week or this weekend for some D&D content. We got Halloween coming up, so possibly some costumes involved. So check that out. All right. Give him a raid. Say caw-caw in the chat. Bye-bye.
Caw-caw.
Caw.
Hi.